Hello class, nice to see you again. How are you? So, today we are going to study about narrative. And because this is the beginning of the lesson, we are going to see this and I'm going to introduce you with the parts of it. So, here the title is Narrative as an Introduction. Before we continue, I would like you to subscribe my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you. So let's see. What is narrative? If you have found the name narrative, we will see there are some synonyms. Look at the example given here. You can find out the synonym is account, chronicle, chronology, commentary, history, narration, record, report, and story. So actually, narrative is a story. And if you have ever heard a film entitled The Chronicles of Narnia, that means you actually are watching a film in the form of story or narrative. Now let's see what or how can be narrative used in a sentence. So here, narrative can be used as a noun or it can be also used as an adjective. When you write down narrative as a noun, that means it will take an account of events, or the meaning is an experience or the details of an experience. So generally it tells you about the storytelling process. But when we talk about adjective, it means it describes the form or style of the story being told. Let us see the example in the sentence. So here, which one is the noun here? The sentence on the top or at the bottom? So let's see here. The Asian American story has been a complicated narrative, a narrative. So this one is an example of a noun. While the second one, the novel's narrative structure is easy to follow. So when we see the word narrative is explaining the structure, it takes the form as an adjective. So let's continue. So if you hear a word fable, fantasy, folktale, historical fiction, legend, or myth, this is also an example of narrative. And the second one is short story or novel. I'm sure you are familiar with the word short story or novel. And let's see the next. What composes narrative? What are the parts of the narrative? We see here that generally it consists of orientation or the beginning, the start of the story. The next is the complication or the problem that arises, and followed by the resolution or the answer to the problem, how we are able to solve the problem. And the last part is reorientation to end the story. So basically, if you see a story, you are expected to be able to find out the orientation, the complication, the resolution, and the last one, reorientation. A good story will consist of these four parts. So I guess everybody knows, everybody has their own story. And remember, in every story, there must be solution to the problem. So now let's see the example or the definition of the orientation. So because this is the beginning of the story, you have to see that there is something that you have to find out in the orientation, or there is an outline of what you have to write in the orientation. Because orientation will develop the scene, the mood. It develops the reader's attractiveness. Not attractiveness, I'm sorry. It attracts the readers and it introduces the characters. So whenever you have the orientation, you have to have the answer of WH question, like when, where, who, or what. And in this case, it will explain or it will help the readers to find out the beginning of the story. What will the story be about? Now let's see the example. So I take this as the opening paragraph of orientation from the story that children usually have. Let's see here. This is the paragraph that I take. Once upon a time, there was an old mother pig who had 3 little pigs and not enough food to feed them. So when they were old enough, she sent them out into the world to seek their fortunes. So here you see the beginning is once upon a time. I'm sure that you are familiar with this. Or you can say that it usually tells about a folk story. So you can see that in this paragraph, you find out WH question of who, what, when, or even why. I'm sure that you have had enough explanation from me. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next part.